price fluctuations of the crude oil and its affiliate products? Is it going to help reduce the burden of Nigerians with the high cost of crude oil? How well will all this pan out is brought to discuss this morning, or rather this afternoon. And I've got two very wonderful gentlemen with me in the studio who are going to discuss to this very wonderful topic of restarting of the Warri and Port Harcourt refinery. I have two regular faces. To my immediate left, I have a public affairs analyst, and of course, a man that, that loves Nigeria. Make welcome now. You're welcome to the program, Chika Omoso.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, and of course, to my far left, I have a broadcaster, and of course, a sound mind, an intellectual encyclopedia. Not forgetting, his name is Francis Ofulwe. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Yes, excitedly, we're looking at the restarting of the Port Harcourt refinery, and of course, what it portends for the Nigerian economy. And before I begin, I must appreciate this government. When you do well, appreciate it. I always appreciate the government if it's true these refineries are truly working and it is not orchestrated by propaganda. So if it does, I must congratulate them on this one. This is something past governments have not been able to do. But however, moving forward, what does it portend for Nigerians? The restart of the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries.
Okay. More growth, it's good for Nigeria. Finally, we want to hear that most of these refineries are functioning because you cannot be making, I like to say this every time, that a man, my father has a farm of cassava, and he does cassava, harvests cassava, and then somebody buys cassava from him, and then we go to buy gari from that person later on. And we buy abacha from the person later on, and we buy what else again? Different products that come from cassava from that person. We buy akpu from the person that bought cassava from us. In fact, they prepared the akpu for us that we have cultivated. That's the state that Nigeria has been in, and many of us have argued that might be something linked to some controversial agreement with powers that be on the global scene. But seeing these things happen right now, it's a big one, a big congratulations to Nigeria, although we are not so confident about the Port Harcourt refinery because the locals around there sometimes said on the grapevine that they are not seeing anything going on. And you know, when refineries happen, it's not something we talk on just newspaper. You see it, you feel it, even far away in Abeokuta. You feel it right there, you know, about the refinery working because it creates different levels of employment and it makes the economy to blossom generally. So whether it's true or not, the most important thing first is that it's a good development. It should be pursued to the letter. I want to see this thing keep on working, that Nigerians can be employed and we can begin to have what we have. We can begin to produce what we have. And I think that way will blossom as a country and as an economy as well.
Chika Omoso, let's get your perspective.
You know, from the word go, is not something to be celebrated because this is supposed to be a means of livelihood. It's like a man who's doing business and your source of income has been abandoned for the last close to 10 years, since 2000, and I'm talking of just the Warri refinery, since 2015. So how have you been surviving? What have you been doing? And for me, why many people will be jubilating, because let's look at it from the point where we are, that it is working. It's going to create jobs. We are likely going to be refining our crude, and that may also affect the price of crude, which I don't think.
Yes.
But my own is, how did it come to a point where your own source of livelihood, your means of income, is no longer functional? I understand that politics involved in all of these things, but my understanding of politics is, apart from the definition that is a thing of interest, the interest should be how to make things work by a set of people, not how to bring things down by a set of people. You know, because each time we mention the word politics, it looks like as if politics is something that makes things not to work. It's an institution, or how do I put it now, an engagement that makes things not to work. When we talk politics in other climes, it is this party that did this, it is this party that did this. And so what I'm looking at is how If it does, will it be good for our economy? Because if I'm going to sell, if I'm the one to manage NNPC or refinery, and I'm churning out products that is going to sell less in my country, except there's another incentive to me, which should be made public too, so that we know that while you're giving me at a lower rate, there is something we are taking care of for you. Maybe tax evasions and all of that, because it's been long overdue. Obasanjo talked about this, but good Lord, Yaradua came and all of that, and we are here today. It's working. We heard of the Port Harcourt refinery before now, and that it has started functioning, but we did not see any effect. And in fact, I want to say here that it may take a long time before we even begin to see effect, if it's going to change, because I do economics and I'm trying to put one or two together. That Warri Refinery working, we should not expect much. The only thing is that it will create job for our people. Yeah. But with regards to maybe pump price, I don't see it. And by the way, it's just functioning at 60%.
Yes.
I decided that would be 125,000 barrels per day.
No, but they changed. They said it's going to be doing 60,000 barrels per day, not even up to 65.
Okay, so but you see, we are not even straightforward with the data available. Yes. However, if it functions at 60%, we still have a long way to go, because I'm told that the Warri Refinery has a 1.2 million barrels per day capacity. Yes. So we are still far from where it could even have effect in the economy. This one is like one local place that they are trying to, these people that were fighting now, that they are trying to bring out crude for. That's the way I look at it. However, I don't want to take it from them that the Warri Refinery is functioning now, and it's kudos to Nigeria, kudos to the present administration.
Well, since 2019, Emele Kyari took over the NNPC. This might be the biggest thing that has happened so far, all this while. People have been asking for him to vamoose, leave that place. We've not been seeing any development from that angle. But if you look at these things very well, I begin to think about the controversial theories surrounding them. Yeah. The refineries being reopened. Dangote's refinery started 2013. That was when he started to push for the building of that refinery to start it up. And for years after, it took him how many years now? If you do the math, from 2013 to 2024, that's about 11 years, right? That it took the young man to start up that refinery. Now, the Port Harcourt...
That's starting from the scratch, by a private man.
Yes. Now, the Port Harcourt and the Warri Refinery, first of all, during the Obasanjo administration, he was even willing to let this whole thing get out, sell it off, because it was difficult to restart this whole process again.
I'm coming. You're talking of selling off.
Obasanjo back.
Yes, not a problem.
Yes.
But look at national institutions and of course
PTI,
whatever that have been sold off. Look at the Niger Dock.
Yes.
Look at NEPA. It hasn't become better.
Let's talk about when you talk about these things, Meshach. Look at telecommunication and Nitel. Look at what happened to Nigeria.
Nothing was sold off.
It was not sold off, but because private individuals were allowed to continue that business, it blossomed. Maybe the idea is not about selling it off for them to start it over again. It's about allowing private individuals to begin to run this thing, just like Dangote.
Before you come, I want to relate to something I just picked up. Now, according to sources, Emele Kyari seeks extension with last-minute move, and I'm reading this heading, reopens Warri Refinery. But then, it is currently lacking because it does not produce fuel.
Yes.
It produces only AGO,
the so-called refinery,
kerosene, what they call it, wax, and all that. But fuel, the most important ingredient that goes through the cracking system, that is not yet among the production effluents that come out of the cracking system. So it still calls for question. Are the refineries truly open, or it's just a political propaganda? Because as it states here, that Emele Kyari wants to gain favor from the Tinubu administration.
You took it from me when I was talking about how Dangote started 2013. That was the point I was driving at. And I said, 2013, that was when Dangote was trying to kick off his own refinery. It took him how many years? Over 11 years. And then these refineries we're talking about now, they are saying miraculously came about to be, because it's miraculous. We didn't know when they were trying to fix it. We just go on the news, refineries have started, and we started to scream hallelujah. Yes, we want to see testimonies, however. But the way it happened was kind of a shocker, because we don't know how the process of even starting it came to be. Somehow, the Obasanjo official, like I was saying, they did their own analysis on that refinery. Port Harcourt refinery. Was it good enough to function? Could this work? And they advised them. Experts said, sell this thing off. It's not going to work. Sell it off. It's more expensive for you to start using this refinery than for you to sell. Just sell it off. Let it go. But somehow, politically speaking, Nigerian political head rose up stronger than realities, and they kept the refinery, waiting for a miracle to happen. And suddenly it has happened. That's where the questions begin to come. And that's where you think about the world refinery and see what they are making. They can make us get candle wax and do things like that rather than give us oil that we are looking for. The point is, first, the Nigerian government has to be very honest about everything.
That is it.
As honest as possible. Transparency doesn't just count only in elections, but in other situations of things. And this particular government is not the most loved government. And I say that with fact, based on the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doesn't have the highest vote of elections. How? Because it was split into 4 different parties. The Labour Party was there, the People's Democratic Party was there, and there was the SDP. They all shared the vote. So if you put all this together, Tinubu has the lowest vote compared to other people who didn't want him to be. Yeah. That's why people were even saying, no, we don't want him, he's not the winner. Because in truth, if you put the result and compare it to the other three, he's totally the loser. That means he has more people who are not in support of his government. That means he has a lot of work to do in convincing people about transparency. Kudos to Tinubu, he has shown pluck. I mean, he came out first and was a little bit flippant when he said, fuel subsidy is over. Old news, that's in the conversation this afternoon. But he's done many things and he has taken many strong steps, tax reforms. He's taken bulls by the horn. Things that previous administrations struggled to do, he made them happen because somehow, he's the first actual politician Nigeria has gotten since 1999. The first one, Obasanjo, was brought from prison like Joseph. The next one, Yar'Adua, was brought by what's his name, Obasanjo. The next one that came in, Goodluck Jonathan, was an offshoot of Yar'Adua, and the one who came after was the former military head of state, who was brought in by the incumbent president Tinubu. This is the first time we are seeing a politician since 1999 rule this country. In that sense, Tinubu knew how to just maneuver his way, play his way, and get things done that he wanted. That is fine and good. But while he's trying to impress Nigeria, trying to do things, I hear he's in Abu Dhabi now, having conversations with the president of that side. He should look at that country, by the way, and make Nigeria work as good as them. But he has a lot of job to do in transparency. Yes. Because Nigerians do not have trust in the administration. It means that if they are producing charcoal at the refinery, let us know. What you are producing here is coal. Look at it. It's charcoal. After all, in Enugu, they have been begging them when they went to Enugu to visit them. They said, let us return to our coal production. Let's do this all over again. And I don't know what the conversation is still ongoing. But if they are producing charcoal, they should make charcoal. Meanwhile, in the country, we have heard about many modular refineries that have been shut down on a daily. I know about coal fire because people talk about refineries, people keep on complaining, refineries, they should just shut them down, but they are what we call coal fire. It means that they just bring diesel from the rigs, drilling industries, they put them on a very big drum, begin to heat that up until soot goes all over Port Harcourt and everybody has soot in their nose. I'm not talking about those ones. I'm talking about the actual little refineries that were not licensed. You have to encourage them. That's where the private personalities or private individuals come into play. The new Dangotes should come into play and begin to have their own thing working. If we can get that working, we'll look at the Kaduna refinery, War refinery, and Port Harcourt refinery like Nitel and begin to function in a new era in the country. And that will
talk about function in a new era. You want something to say about? I want to take us to another perspective.
Yeah, I didn't want to digress too much, but the fuel economy in Nigeria is not balanced. When you talk about telephone and that time they used to advertise that we look forward, we envision, we see a world where a wheelbarrow pusher will be using telephone. I didn't quite believe it because I remember the first line of buying line for 13,000, just the SIM card, or 19,000 and all of that. And then you don't want to talk about the phone because if the SIM card is about 19,000, 13,000, how much more the phone? I didn't quite see it coming, but now it's playing out. Yeah. Indeed, even someone parking the gutter can afford a phone.
Yeah, everybody.
Because it is free economy. This is quite free. Unlike having somebody the eye of government as NNPC, with some government protection. and then compete. Dangote will have to compete with NNPC. NNPC will have to regulate how Dangote gets crude, how much it sells, because of course it's not a free playing ground. So I know we don't believe in the process, because the one that has been done has not functioned well. You know, like the NEPA, for instance. Since when I was in secondary school, they've been telling us that maybe in this administration, in 10 years' time, you'll not have power failure in Nigeria again, and all of that. And then we saw privatization come. We felt that, okay, this is the answer. Truly, this thing is going to happen. After privatization, it got worse. You know, we were like, let's go back to where we're coming from. Just like some people now, in some clamor for return to military rule, because democracy has failed. Even though democracy should be better than military rule. So what I'm trying to say is this. We have to push for a free economy in the petrol sector. Industry. Because with NNPC, they're trying to regulate other people. And he's a player in the field. It's not balanced. We need to privatize. Because something led to the moribund nature of our refineries.
Of course.
It is because it was managed by the government. The same thing will happen because there's so much interest, there's so much politics, negative interest, negative politics in our polity. That is why it's not working. If not, politics is not a bad thing. It will be in my name that we made this thing happen. That's what I understand by politics. Now, positive things, good things. So until that happens, you will find that we are not going to be having full benefits of all this. Then when it comes to their capacity for now, it's not a problem. You know, I was shocked one day when I learned that pencil is not produced in Nigeria. So if Warri Refinery can give us enough wax and enough kerosene, because there are some communities who are suffering from it. If you have to get kerosene, you have to go as far as maybe close to Onitsha to get. I remember when I served in the north, not all the filling stations even have kerosene pump.
Yes.
It's only in specific areas. That is to tell you that this commodity is also scarce in our country where we have enough crude. So if it's only kerosene and wax and all of those things they can produce in fact, even when they get to their 100% capacity, it's enough, but produce it well and let the people enjoy it. However, we should understand that they said they've not gotten 100%. So maybe the left percentage is where petrol will come in and the rest of them.
Let's believe it's still work in progress. But however, moving forward, we're looking at what got us here. Now, we've looked at, we evaluate, everybody's excited. Yes, the APC government. Well, I must reference the fact that most of these reopenings actually started in the Muhammadu Buhari administration. That was when the seed was planted, moving forward. But then, corruption within the oil and gas sector. The NNPC since 1999 have had millions to trillions of naira budgeted for turnaround maintenance, but not one turnaround maintenance was totally achieved. We expected that probably after some turnaround maintenances were passed, we expected that the refinery would start working again, but that was not to be until this recent pronouncement by Mela Kyari. Was quite impressive. We saw visuals of the control room, which looked quite impressive. Now, but let's look at corruption. For us to have a reputation of what brought down NNPC in the past, do you think, or don't you think, it's morally and uprightly right to audit the account of the NNPC, one? Secondly, ask questions about the trillions of naira that have been budgeted in the past for turnaround maintenance. We need accountability, in summary, the way forward.
Let's you just said it. Matter of fact, you took everything and, well, this is the question. We need accountability in the Nigerian system, the Nigerian government. Look at what we heard about what is the Alison Madukwe is going to bring back after indulging in bribery and the rest of them. Nigeria is going to make a lot of money from the money that she made by bribery. And I think she was also heralding around the petroleum sector. Tells you the level of corruption that area has been breeding. Matter of fact, on a very informal level, I had a conversation with one of these oil young dudes who do business here and there with the oil world. And he said, this was not even this year. This was not even during the Tinubu administration or Buhari administration. It was, just beginning of Buhari administration. He said that if you understand the level of corruption in the oil industry in Nigeria, you would shed tears. Monies are living on it by the second. different areas.
I think you be specific. Billions are living every day in this sector.
If we put that in dollars, we can say billions. If we put it in naira, we can say trillions. Every second disappearing from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I don't have my data right, but I remember that sometime last year, there was a significant amount of oil drums or barrels that were missing on a daily basis. Thousands, about 950-something thousand barrels missing on a daily basis when they did a little math on what's going on in the Nigerian sector as far as oil is concerned. That tells you level of corruption. They channel the blame to poor calculation, logistical errors. But they didn't add the main one that many Nigerians were aware of.
Yeah.
Those errors that happen. How about the subsidy we have been crying for? Before we begin to talk about the oil, the subsidy we have been crying for. What was the issue? We have been shouting subsidy was not removed or should have been removed. If Nigerians, if the marketers were not carrying the oil that they were giving to them almost free of charge to sell it to countries outside Nigeria, maybe we would have not been talking about subsidy story.
Yeah.
Maybe we would have been like Saudi Arabia. There are United Arab Emirates countries that do organize wedding ceremonies for their citizens because they produce the same oil that we produce. We don't want to compare Nigeria to them because the population of Nigeria is a little bit more, is bigger than theirs. But that tells you what you can do. And we know countries do subsidies to survive, economies survive. And I've said on air several times that when there was subsidy in Nigeria, 2013, Nigeria was regarded as one of the fastest growing economy. You can check Google and verify in the continent and globally. Now, people were involved in subsidy and they were being corrupt. So that ruined that area. Talk about the oil industry, that's also ruined the fact that corruption has continued to breathe like a dragon, fire, burning the entire system, putting it ablaze. So auditing is one thing. But, when we've had conversations, Meshach, you said several times, that one of the major things to do, matter of fact, is to try people, try corrupt officials, and lock them.
That is it.
Shut them down. Let them go to prison for what they've done. And this is not me being angry or being bitter or hating on these people. Because I love their testimonies of wealth and how God has blessed them. At the same time, they should be accountable enough to go to court, talk about these issues, not panels. You put a panel with me.
Panels,
I've lost every control in panels. Every time I hear about electrical panel and lighter notes, it never worked until it's in solar. So try something else. The panels have never worked in Nigeria. They should get the law court, hold these men, the states versus them, the federal government versus these men, because they did not just injure Nigerians, they injured the entire country, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Take them to court, try them. Those that are found guilty will not put off the mic, we'll put them in jail for a little while, and afterwards we can begin to see changes happen in the country. But until we have done this, we are going to keep lurking around this circle.
And that's a circle that's not so attractive.
We've made industries that we've
not
made.
The problem is this is an ideal situation.
But we are not in an ideal situation.
Was it not this man who said it's unlawful to be lawful in an unlawful state?
That's true.
The question is, who is going to bring them to justice?
That's it.
If you're my friend, you are corrupt, I'm corrupt, you say I should judge you. I will be, before I start with you, you're already opening up my own fire.
Yes.
See, that's why they said when the righteous man is on the throne, the people will rejoice. Because if I have a clean slate, and this is one of the things they consider when they want to bring you to power. They don't want somebody with a clein slate.
At all.
So that they can also vilify you, put you in a corner when that time comes. Otherwise, when you have a righteous man on the throne, the people will rejoice because he will do the right thing, and he will do it with all alacrity, with all joy, with all power, with all vigor, knowing that he's not trying to victimize you. He's trying to sanitize the system. He's trying to make the system work. Because the truth of the matter is that we will all enjoy this. Somebody said the reason why some people want to keep you to suffer is so that you can double for them.
Yes,
but I told them that if you are great, I am great. We can still respect each other because there will be a time you will need me and I will need you. And when I respect you, that respect is organic. I'm not trying to pretend because of what I'm going to get. I'm okay where I am and you are okay. You may not need me, I may not need you, but we will respect each other because, we're doing well. Yeah. So I do not think that a country will function by subjugating her people, making the people suffer, you living in billions while others are living in abject poverty. Some people believe that if these systems work, we will stop having this money. But there are other rooms you can make money. even the ones they tell us that they produce, the barrels they produce, do you know how many crude have left before they tell you that this one is the one we are producing? There are a lot of things happening. Yet, these people are not satisfied because of the evil in them. This, settle that. Exactly. You know, so you see, we do politics with everything, and we don't even do clean politics. They tell you now this thing is working. We'll wait in the next maybe 3 months. They tell you, it has gone down again. Completely. It doesn't happen only here. It happens in other places too. Of course, I heard of one airline, like they did in our own, that Nigerian airline is now back. Those people came together, got a plane to fly, put the name of the country. I don't know whether we are copying these people or these people are copying us. Yeah. But I'm saying that in our own, we have to wake up. And my own proposition is that this generation, let's try to be a little bit different from our fathers. Because anyhow, they are living and we're staying by the grace of God, so that we can make a change, we can make a difference. Our people don't have to suffer. We have to be enlightened to understand. It's education that is making me think that you and I can be doing well and we'll still respect ourselves. Yes. I am not living by the superstition of thinking that you have to be suffering for you to respect me. No. Because if you have not impacted people's life, why would they give you true respect, true honor? These ones that they are clamoring for, honor is earned. You don't force it on people. And this soft landing we do in this country is very bad. You steal billions out of court settlement, or you settle the government, or you move to a ruling party. When shall it be that you be in the ruling party and you go to jail for the wrong you have done to the people to the citizens of this country?
That's exactly what we're going to now. We're looking
at soft landing. You are mentioning Ali Madokwe. I think I used to know as Minister of Oil and Petroleum.
That tells you level of corruption. That you were saying ideal.
Bring the money
if we want to talk about ideal, then we will not have this conversation at all. Yeah. If we imagine ideal, that means, do you know what we would have been doing in Nigeria if it was ideal? The issue in Nigeria would have been labor. When I mean labor, would have been begging Ghana, Cameroon, all that.
Come and help us work.
To work for
Too
us.
much labor.
So we need for more hands. Matter of fact, Nigerians will be looking for administrative job. Just do your philosophy on your own and think about the country. Take a minute to think about if Nigeria was working, if we were working on our cocoa, if agriculture was functioning optimally, and the oil business was functioning optimally too, and we're producing what we used to do, because in that oil business, there's
not to talk of our lands that for agriculture, for animal husbandry.
Now let's look at.
You can't mention them.
Right now, I've been begging Ghana. Come on, please come work.
Now let's look at the role of the citizens. We've been talking about the NNPC. We've been talking about government. Nigeria is the only oil-producing country I know that has a reoccurrence, almost a daily reoccurrence of pipeline vandalization. Gabon is an oil-producing country. I'm not sure we've heard about it, though. The United States, the United Kingdom, Oman, Saudi Arabia, so many to mention that are oil-producing. Of course, they have internal pipelines, intracity pipelines, connecting from the refineries to the jetties. But now, go all over Niger Delta and look at the degradation of the environment. Not just, at times I feel bad when they project it solely towards, solely towards the conglomerates, Shell, Chevron, and co. But then the citizens, because modular refineries are a product of pipeline vandalization. It's time to be corrected. But however, moving forward, how can we check or curtail the excesses of our citizens? Is it citizen education? Is it citizen information? People need to go to jail. What do we really need to do? Because we can't go back to where we are coming from if Nigeria must move forward.
See, truth is that the people are hungry, frustrated, not educated. I'm not saying being a professor, so we don't get it wrong. And our value system is poor. Then lack of punishment for those who have done wrong. You are there. We just imagine that as we are gathered here now, you all elected me to go to an office, and then suddenly I started living big, living large. And after it was discovered that I stole because it's our common resources. That's why we talk about national cake. Even though the cake has not been baked yet, we need to bake it so that we can enjoy it going forward. Now, so if I go there, I start living large, and you are at the background, what you're supposed to give to me, you are not giving it to me. I look for a way to survive. Now, education now comes in to understand that this thing you're spoiling, you're going to affect the economy of the whole. But the economy of the whole is not benefiting, so to hell.
That is it. That's the mindset.
The mindset there is poor.
So leadership problem, basically.
Because that frustration, hunger, lack of education, and our value system generally.
Let me react to the question.
Yeah.
First of all, before I even go on, let me appeal to my brothers and sisters in Warri that, you know, if this refinery is opening, they should embrace peace. The whole OSE thing should be, you know, on the loan right now. Let the company function, and let companies grow in their function as well. Once upon a time, Warri was really bubbling, bubbling, but after violence again, many of these companies began to run away due to violence. So I want to appeal to them first.
What caused the violence?
I want to appeal to them first of all. I want to appeal to them first of all to calm down. They will not get to the point of, you know, I don't want to sound at a particular place. If you have been fortunate or unfortunate to work around oil rigs and see where they drill oil, and communities that host these drilling companies, and you see them begging for bread, Meshach. Literally, men who work in those rigs throw crumbs of bread to inhabitants of that particular area. Host communities, they throw crumbs of bread to them. And these children, they dive into the water, swim to catch the bread and eat it. Literally. They can't fish because, of course, the water has been polluted. There's always talk about zero oil spillage and the rest of them. However,
that's what was coming.
They can't even fish because the water has been contaminated.
Now let's look at it from
the drilling companies.
The drilling company polluted the water.
And what they are supposed to give to the community in other areas. If they are not bringing it.
We're talking about the community. We're
talking of corporate.
What they should do. I'm trying to get somewhere. Do you know most of these companies, drilling companies, pay these communities very heavily to handle situations like this? Yes. But some people in the communities,
that is where
hijack the monies.
Yes.
That's just to tell you the level of
truth.
Why you see people
insincerity.
People vandalize pipelines and the rest of them. In 2009, Meshach. In 2019, Netherlands had to start shutting down prisons. Netherlands shut down prisons and turned prisons to hotels.
Because there were no prisoners.
No prisoners. The economy is working very well. In fact, you go to prison, they give you therapy. Don't steal anymore. It's not right. You're better than this. And the man stops because there is money. When you leave that prison cell, you get a job. They are looking for you to get a job. And that's why we find this issue of corruption, people vandalizing pipeline. Once upon a time, Meshach, if you call for a free show in Nigeria, I came from a little below average family. People who know my mom knew that she was not the wealthiest person. She was just doing very well, had her head up high, and was proud of herself by the things that she had attained morally. If you call for free shows, Francis Tofule would not go for those free shows. No. Even if you promised me promise me heaven or new Christmas clothes, I would not go. And friends of mine would not attend to it, say it's free. But recently in Nigeria, a free show was going on in Ibadan. Mothers took their children and flung them past the fence so they can be part of the stampede. And some of them sustained injuries, some people died. No. That's how poverty has hit the country. That's why when a tanker vessel fell in Jigawa, Meshach, a tanker fell in Jigawa, and people went to, until 153 people died. It tells you that the hunger is too much. You have turned to zombies. Do you know what zombies do to survive? They come for you. You are shooting a zombie. He's coming for you because the man, the zombie is so hungry.
But I want to cut in, Francis, that this thing you're seeing where it happens in oil communities, tanker this, stampede this, it may snowball to a level where we will hold the government to ransom in this country. Some of them are not looking at it because the army, the other day somebody was complaining how they kidnap people from Masaba and cross the bridge. You have a lot of policemen there, this and this. The analysis is too much. The policeman is tired. He can't pay his house rent. He can't send his children to school. Why would he give you security? So a time will come, they will even fold their hand and watch us take over the government. If the government don't sit up, because we don't have a reason to complain in this country. Do you know how much we have? Do you know the resources we have? Do you know the brains we have? A lot of us, we learn and then we travel out to go and live our life. It's not because some of them want to leave this country. Some of them love this country to the core. But how can I waste my life? Nobody's going to live this life again.
Now let's look at the pricing in the oil and gas sector. The pricing is premised on the international price index that we get in relation to the content that we are selling. And most of the crude in Nigeria is the Brent crude, which has the highest market value. With the proliferation, I want to call it proliferation because now we have more refineries. With the coming of the Port Harcourt refinery, the LMA refinery, Warri refinery, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, the Kaduna refinery will stream online, and the Dangote refinery. And do you think it will create a competitive market for demand and supply? Because now, look at the caveat, because I'm finding it difficult. You're an economist. I'm finding it difficult to comprehend. If before now we are importing fuel, the fuel will pay for landing costs, and the fuel stays in either Matrix tank farm, Rain Oil tank farm, and Shafa tank farm. I'm talking of the ones that have tank farm. They stay there. That means you will still pay. And all those transfers into the retail outlets, and we're buying it at 1.2. Now we are refining our fuel, our crude oil here in Nigeria. I expected that the price should have come down because we're no longer paying for landing. We're not paying to anybody for transportation haulage and all that. We're just, they are not going to jetties to go and load. They're going straight to the refineries to load. So as an economist, how can you relate the
price
disparity?
Said there has to be a free market in that economy, in that petroleum economy. Yeah. You can't have NNPC, a participant controlling others. Let the crude be accessible by these people. Somebody must be in charge anyway, but NNPC cannot be in the game. You cannot be an umpire in your own game.
Yes, you are the,
all right? You want to be a judge in your own case. Let's have a free market economy there. You can buy crude. This is the amount you buy crude. Everybody knows how much you are buying crude. So you can decide. See, there's a way government operates in a capitalist system. If you're giving us fuel, there's something we'll give to you, especially if you're in our country. So you will have that incentive to give to the country.
Like trade by barter.
Otherwise, if you want to sell to other countries, but we'll sell the crude at this price. If you want to sell to the other countries, you will do this, you will pay this. So if you put the two together, you will still have to give us fuel. You will buy and you will prefer to give us because there are other incentives, which may be more than just selling to other people. Because when you have to sell to other people, some costs will also be added, which may, in the long run, bring down your profit. So actually, we are supposed to have a lower price here. But the capacity they are mentioning is not enough to affect the market. Because in economy, you talk about the forces of demand and supply. The supply is still like it used to be. It's like we're just coming out.
Okay.
Let them come up to full capacity, be producing at their full capacity. And like Obi has said, let's give license to these modular operators.
Not go fire, please.
Yes, I'm talking of modular. If you give them license, the essence of license is that government is now, the presence of government is now there. Yeah. So you don't do it like you used to do it carelessly before, negligently.
Because we'll come and evaluate your environment.
Good.
We'll take an environment impact assessment. We'll look at how you
do the right stuff.
Do the right thing.
So that
through my modular refinery, and now you give me a license, and you're asking me to come and buy the crude oil from a certain source, and my profit now drops to.
They're also sustaining some cost in doing bunkering.
Yes.
It's not easy to do bunkering now.
No, but
there are some costs.
Bunkering itself, let's be very clear. Bunkering causes pollution. Yes. That time we talked about the Suits in Port Harcourt. That ever had.
Not Port Harcourt is even too far. We
go
to Nigeria, Isoko.
Back then, you put your hand, dig your hand in your nose, and you see the black Suits in your hand. It was that bad.
Go to Olomoro. We have flow stations. We have in Ole. We have in Olomoro. We have.
And to add to what Chika was saying, Chika talked about give them licenses. The safety officers, I'm trying to remember the name of the men in charge of the oil sector when it comes to regulation and the rest of drilling companies and refineries. They should not try to turn that to a money-making avenue. Because what happens there most times is that they just place heavy monies on you, place heavy payments on you, then they go back and you pay them the money and they walk away. They should be deliberate about trying to change the narrative for Nigeria to function via these modular refineries. And if you are doing more fire, otherwise called bunkering, that's what we're talking about. Because you would kill Nigeria before we end from what you're trying to do for Nigeria.
All right, so it's been a very wonderful discussion we have had here this afternoon. Of course, it's the faculty, like every other weekday. We're sure going to be back tomorrow. We've had discussions on the opening of the Warri and Port Harcourt refineries, expectations, opportunities, and challenges. I must appreciate you, Chika Omoso, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And of course, Francis Ofuluwe for coming on the program. Till I come your way tomorrow, good afternoon.